Hello, many thanks for the opportunity to talk to you today about MRIs with our cochlear implant recipients who have advanced bionics cochlear implants. Okay, so cochlear implants we know are life-changing for our severe, profound hearing impaired recipients out there. So for children, for adults, the number of cochlear implant recipients in the UK is around 12,000, and that's only set to increase. So the likelihood of you coming across more and more patients with implants is higher than ever. The criteria changed in the last couple of years, so it's less restrictive. That's bringing even more people forward for having implants. So it's obviously something that you all need to know about. So cochlear implants comprise of an internal part, our implant, and then the cochlear implant user wears a processor externally, and this has a microphone on it to pick up the sound in the environment, and that is communicated through the skin to the implant sitting on the skull. So there's a magnet in the headpiece in the external processor, and then the magnet in the internal implant, and that sends the information across, and then the pulses of electricity will stimulate the different electrode endings in our cochlea to stimulate the hearing nerve. So this is how that person hears. So torque, I don't need to tell you guys what torque is, but basically we get torque on the magnet in the cochlear implants, which, you know, any magnet in a magnetic field is going to have the same same reaction, is that it's going to want to move, and that's not good news for cochlear implant wearers, because if that magnet moves, then that can be quite painful. So we want to obviously minimize the risk as much as possible. In worst case scenarios, the magnet can flip, it can break the skin. That all involves a period of time with no hearing for the patient while the magnet is reinserted, because they're not then able to wear their external processor. Okay, so this is our portfolio of advanced bionics cochlear implants over the years, coming to the latest implant that's been out since 2018, the HiRes Ultra 3D, and then before that, all the implants we had at that time. I think from this slide, if you just take the fact, if anybody was implanted 20 years ago, then they are not likely to have an implant that is MRI compatible. But if they've been implanted since 2003, then they might have the HiRes 90K implants or the HiRes 90K Advantage. These implants are MRI conditional up to 1.5 Tesla. So for a 1.5 Tesla MRI, they would need head bandaging to keep that magnet secure. For the HiRes Ultra, so that came out in 2017, you can have an MRI, the same thing, with a 1.5 Tesla with head bandaging, but also if you needed a 3 Tesla MRI, that is possible with the HiRes Ultra, but you would need to take the internal magnet out beforehand. So they would just need a minor procedure with ENT to remove the magnet. They can have a non-magnetic plug, and they have the MRI and have that magnet reinserted. So that is just if they need the 3 Tesla, they would need that magnet removed. If they're having 1.5 Tesla, then similar to the HiRes 90K family, they could have the head bandaging. Note that you're not able to do 3 Tesla with the HiRes 90K family. And then 2018 has seen the new default now, the HiRes Ultra 3D. So I've got some information to show you on HiRes Ultra 3D to explain why it is hassle-free to do an MRI. You won't need to do any head bandaging, and you can leave the magnet in situ for 1.5 and 3 Tesla. But we'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. In terms of support and information, you may be aware of our MRI safety information on our website. This is the link at the top on the title of this slide. We updated this a few years ago based on feedback from radiographers. So we hope it gives you all the information you need. It's very user-friendly. You can put, when you scroll further down on the page, you can input the the implant type. So say they have a high-res 90K, so they have an Ultra, you put your implant type once you've learned what they have, and then it will bring up all the relevant information for that implant. On there are resources available for you to download as well. So there's the reference guide for radiologists, MRI information checklist. We've got the MRI checklist for Ultra 3D. Also, there's a surgical manual which details more about magnet removal of an implant if you needed to. Also has all the MRI safety information in there. So there's basically a few different places to find information. The website is a good place to start. Okay, so what I want to come on to now is our what we call the antenna coil cover. So if you are doing an MRI that requires head bandaging, so that's our high-res 90K family, or perhaps a high-res Ultra, if you're leaving that magnet in, then you would need to do head bandaging. So you can get one of these antenna coil covers. It basically replicates the headpiece from the processor they wear, but obviously it doesn't have a magnet in it, and it doesn't have any metal or anything in it, but it just is basically a kind of dummy that you would use to locate the spot. So to get one of these free of charge, you just contact the UK office and we can send one out to you to your work address. Okay, so I just want to show you this video to demonstrate the head bandaging should you need to do it. Okay, so this is all found in our surgical manual. It's also instructions on the website as well. So these are the materials you're going to need. You're going to need the patient's existing headpiece for you to know whereabouts that that antenna coil cover needs to be. So you can detach the headpiece from the cable. It will naturally attract to where that internal magnet is on. Remember, you might need to do both sides if they're bilateral. And then you're going to place it on. So the magnet will be holding it in place, and you then want to take your head bandaging. So you cut enough so it's enough to wrap around the head, and then you have that headpiece underneath. You want it fairly tight, and then you're going to be marking on the bandaging that outline. And then while it's sort of in position, try not to move where your head bandaging is. Take that patient's headpiece out and then put in your antenna coil cover. So you want to then line it up in the exact same spot. Now, of course, there's no magnet or metal in that antenna coil cover. So the next thing you'll want to be doing is then doing the compression wrapping. So you'll get the remaining bandaging you have and you'll wrap it around the head so that it's one full wrap around. So this is the circumference length. And then what you'll do is you'll double that over itself, fold it at the mark, and then cut it off. So basically you've doubled the length of material. So it's twice the length to circumference of the head. So when you take your bandaging, then you will be wrapping it around the head, and you want to do it very tightly. So what you want to end up with is basically 150% extension of that bandage, so that it's really tight. That antenna coil cover is not going to be moving anywhere, and hopefully the mark of where you've cut it should be the opposite side of the head of where you started the wrap, so you've basically added that extra 50%. Okay, so that's a bit about the head bandaging. What I want to bring you on to now is the high-res Ultra 3D implant. So this is our latest implant. Anybody implanted from 2018 onwards is likely to have this if they have advanced bionics. And this you're going to love because it makes MRIs completely hassle-free. Pain-free and in uninterrupted hearing. You don't need to be removing that magnet. So I'll show you the ingenious magnet design. So within the magnet itself, we've got these magnetic rotating cylinders, which is very clever. So what it means is wherever the magnetic field is coming from, those magnets will be able to align. So the magnet itself can spin. So if the magnetic field is coming from the x-axis, bit like the other cochlear implant manufacturers on the market, the magnets can spin. But what is unique about Advanced Bionics is that because of these rotating cylinders, it means when the magnetic field is coming from the third dimension, our z-axis, the magnets can spin in a line. So I know there are other manufacturers that might still say head bandaging is optional with their MRI magnets, and that's partly because they'll spin, but if it's in a magnetic field for sort of way out the degree from the midline, then there still might be that torque on those magnets. But because of this extra feature we have with the spinning cylinders, it means not only is head bandaging, we wouldn't even say optional, it's just not necessary. So we're getting patients who are reporting they don't even feel anything, much less have any pain. So it's compatible for 1.5 Tesla and 3 Tesla, no head bandaging, no need to remove the magnets either. So I just wanted to show you some images if you were interested in looking to see if there was any artifacts with the Ultra 3D. So this is a study done on cadaver heads in Cambridge, and they looked, they had this grading system where grade 0 is full visibility, grade 1 would be some distortion present, and then grade 2 is obscuring the view completely. So with a T1 MRI at 3 Tesla, you can see we've got full visibility with a bilateral Ultra 3D magnets. And then same conclusion when they did Bravo MRIs with 3 Tesla. Again, we've got some really nice imaging on a bilateral Ultra 3D. They did also look at T2, but because this study was done on cadaver heads, obviously the bodily fluid is absorbed when you pass away, then it was the results for T2 MRI was inconclusive to look at artifacts. But I hope this is sort of reassuring to you. Obviously, we can't take away any artifact leaving the magnet in potentially, but these images look really good, so it should reassure you that you shouldn't need to remove the magnets at all if you were thinking about artifacts. Here is some quotes on what the expected range you might have with unilateral Ultra 3D and bilateral, so if they had 2 implants, and looking at 3 Tesla and 1.5, so that gives you an idea. And then specifically, I found these stats on our high-res Ultra implant. So that's the predecessor before Ultra 3D. So our high-res Ultra implants. Here's some figures for you for the spin echo and gradient echo sequences. Okay, so what about if what you want to view is directly underneath the implants? There will be cases where you will want to take that magnet out. Now, magnet removal can is required if you've got a high-res Ultra implant for 3 Tesla. But also, of course, even 1.5 Tesla, what you want to view might be directly below, and you might want the magnet taken out. And that would also apply for Ultra 3D as well. As we said, we can't totally remove artifact because it still is, still a bit of metal. So there is a high-res Ultra magnet toolkit that you can use with high-res Ultra and high-res Ultra 3D. We've got some videos if you wanted to contact us, if you wanted to see videos for an ENT surgeon. The MRI, the magnet removal kit has this magnet installation tool, which is magnetic. So basically, you pop it under the silicone lip and you can maneuver that magnet out, and because the magnet will attract, it should be fairly straightforward to remove the magnets. Then that patient can have a non-magnetic plug put in that silicone space, have their MRI, and then after that they obviously need a sterile magnet reinserted. And then in that instant, they would need the magnet pusher tool as well as the magnet installation tool. So with the magnet installation tool, that sterile magnet will attract because it's magnetic. And then the magnet pusher tool, you basically load the magnet and the magnet installation tool onto the magnet pusher tool to insert it back under that silicone lip. Demagnetization then. So this is, a potential risk of lots of MRIs. Now, when we did the Ultra 3D release, we did look at demagnetization. So after 10 MRIs, the standard high-res Ultra in our high-res Ultra implants had less than 1% demagnetization. So it was not an issue after 10 MRIs, and the high-res Ultra 3D magnet actually magnetized slightly by 2 to 3%, which is not significant, isn't going to cause any issue. So yeah, after 10 MRIs, we did not find any significance in terms of demagnetization or magnetization. In a couple of cases, probably with the high-res 90K family, in my own experience, I found sometimes the polarity of the internal implant has shifted, and it just means the magnet inside their headpiece then obviously needs to be reversed. But that's the I've only come across that a couple of times, and that's probably because the head bandaging protocol wasn't followed. But I've never known of somebody losing magnetization, and these stats here are kind of reassuring. Okay, so in summary of the high-res Ultra 3D, then we've, out of any implant and MRIs, this has been heavily looked at because of the whole design of it is around having hassle-free MRIs. So the conclusion from the sort of feasibility study showed, when they were looking at the cadaver heads in the study in Cambridge, showed much reduced torque with the high-res Ultra 3D at 1.5 Tesla and 3 Tesla when we compared it with the implant, the high-res Ultra, which was the implant that came out before. So obviously less torque is significant, less pain, no need for magnet removal or head bandaging for MRI at 3 Tesla and of course 1.5 Tesla. Artifact, they found acceptable image artifact with the main structures visible, 3 Tesla on T1 and Bravo MRI imaging, and this is similar to what they found with the high-res Ultra when they compared it. And demagnetization, also not an issue after multiple MRIs. Okay, so that is our Ultra 3D, hassle-free, pain-free, uninterrupted hearing. This will be the new norm going forward, but of course, all the people who were implanted before Ultra 3D, hopefully all the considerations for the safety guidelines you need is all on our website, and of course, you can contact us. So these are our contact details. This is the web link where you can find our MRI safety information, where you can download those checklists. You can contact us if you need the antenna core cover and bandaging protocol or any other information. And of course, you can contact either me or my colleagues. We're clinical specialists that work for Advanced Bionics. We're here to help. On email or on phone, just call the main office and they can put you through to one of us if you need to speak to somebody. Okay, well, I hope that was helpful. Any questions or support, if you need me to send you any MP4 videos, then do drop an email to one of these emails below on this slide. And yeah, we're very happy to help. Thank you.